I'm Mary Polcheminoff, and welcome to Sure Things. Today we're going to look into the world of fashion. I'm very excited to welcome our guest, Alyssa Doran. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about your background and about sustainable fashion, which I can't wait to talk about.
Yes.
So you're actually a fashion designer and stylist.
Yeah, so I'm recently I've been teaching myself how to design and sew. I've been a stylist for a few years now. That was kind of the main thing I did in fashion. But yeah, I'm excited to be designing.
And that's actually how we met. I walked into a store and it was interesting. I had browsed around looking for some special thing for a party and hadn't found anything. And I remember I was just about out the door and you mentioned what I was looking for, and then you mentioned you were a stylist, and I thought, wow, did I miss that chance? But I'm glad that you could come on and talk more about that. What does that mean to be a stylist, a fashion stylist?
So it depends on what level. There's celebrity stylist. I'm not a celebrity stylist, but maybe one day. But anyways, right now I do it within the boutique. So when somebody comes in, it's kind of like I want you to put your shopping in my hands. Like I want you to just have fun and I'll bring you the clothes. And it's all about putting that head to toe look together so you can really like envision yourself wearing the whole outfit.
So you have a good sense of how that all goes together. So I should
Yes.
ask you what you're wearing. What are you wearing today?
Yes, so today I'm wearing a vintage DKNY set. I thrifted this, so we'll talk more about that later. But
Sure.
yeah, I've been thrifting a lot recently and doing more in Connecticut. But yeah, this is
So that'll be interesting to get into.
Yeah,
We'll get into the thrifting.
definitely.
So back to the fashion sense and the stylist. You work in a shop, but you work at the dressing room,
dressing
right?
room,
In
yep,
Madison, yeah.
yep.
And you do the stylist part. How do you get your ideas or your resources to make sure you're up on everything going on out there?
I would say like a big influence is New York City. I go to the city at least probably once a month. I was living there for a little while, but the street style in the city is just, it's so diverse, and to just pull different things from it and mix it all together is so fun. And I definitely think that's kind of where like fashion is. It's really more about expressing yourself rather than just following trends. Trends are very fast, and fast fashion is not sustainable.
So when you go to the city and you're looking at the street scenes or checking out what people are wearing, are there certain places that you go to get the most up-to-date ideas?
I love Soho.
Yeah,
Soho
okay,
is
yeah.
very fashion forward. That's where all the name brand designer shops are. So that's really cool. But I also have like a few friends that go to FIT, so it's interesting to see them and their friends and what they wear. But yeah, I love city style. And then it's really interesting for me because now living in Connecticut in the suburbs, I kind of mix my edgy street style with a little bit more neutral styles.
Then more the Northeast style,
Yeah.
kind of mixing it in.
Yeah.
So do you have a fashion background? Was that your schooling or?
So no, I always was just a shopaholic. I would shop with my grandma and my aunt all the time. And I never really thought of fashion as a career. It was just fun, clothes were just fun and whatever. And then, so I ended up going to UConn. My sophomore year, I realized what I was studying was not what I wanted to do. I was studying marine biology, actually. So I switched to communications. I looked into going to fashion school, but it wasn't really like the right timing for me. So I graduated from UConn, and then I moved to the city, and then I just started teaching myself how to sew. I do a lot of thrifting and upcycling of clothes, so that's also a part of a big part of fashion.
And I've seen that's getting more in the news now too about fashion. We'll talk more about that too. So I also, with my background, some time with my kids and my daughter-in-law in the PR industry and everything, I learned a lot about influencers and that whole scene. Can you tell us? So what does that mean to you, and are you part of that?
So influencers in general are mostly people that have a lot of followers, whether it be a blog, a YouTube, or Instagram. But nowadays, a lot of influencers have a smaller amount of following, maybe like a few thousand or 10,000, because I think like advertisements coming from those people, it's more sincere, it's more genuine. So like for instance, I'm kind of like a micro influencer, they call it. I've been sent like some things from brands that's like a big thing. Either they'll give you like a discount code sometimes, or they'll send you something and they want you to advertise it on your Instagram, or I've done it on TikTok too. TikTok is a huge thing. I actually want to talk about that as well, because I think TikTok, do you know what TikTok is?
Well, it's been in the news. So we've heard a lot about TikTok, and I've seen little videos of it. So I know that's a type of a medium you can use to get out a short information.
Definitely.
Or video, yeah.
I would say it's had a big influence on fashion recently.
On fashion. Now that part I didn't know. I did know Instagram, and as I said, I just got exposed to this whole idea of going on and seeing what somebody's wearing and being able to see how it's put together and follow them, which I think is pretty fascinating. But I didn't realize that there's also another medium, which is TikTok. And have you noticed with your work on being an influencer, a micro-influencer, and on TikTok and everything, since the pandemic, you were going along, we hit the pandemic, did you shift your focus, your work in any way with all that?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, I think a lot of people being home got very into TikTok, and like I say, it influenced fashion because you're just quickly seeing so many outfits and so many different people, and it kind of categorizes you into a group of people similar to you. So it's interesting because I get a lot of fashion influence on there. But I would say I've just more recently with my Instagram, like during quarantine, I was trying to like make it look nice and like because I had a lot of time, but now I'm just like I just want to be myself, and it's mostly about fashion for me, so I take a lot of outfit pictures and just share a lot of that. And now I'm really and I think a lot of people are more so trying to learn to be themselves authentically in real life, of course, but also just like on the internet, so it's less fake.
I think that is a big movement with the pandemic and people being home and having to really have that quiet time with themselves too, that it has been. Have you also noticed a lot more, I have to say, because I'm sure everybody will be saying the casual wear, that we're not going out and catching the subway or the buses, and
so a ton of people come into the boutique and they're like, oh, like I don't have anywhere to go. Like a lot of people are saying they have nowhere to go, but I will say, like working where I do work, I'm seeing more events starting to happen, more weddings. They're small, but they are happening. But comfy clothes are definitely a big trend, if you will. One of the biggest things is sweatsuits, like matching. Over the summer, it was like the little shorts and tank tops, and now it's like the sweatshirts and sweatpants. And that, I will talk about this more, but that's a lot about what I do as well. I love the sweatsuits, and they're very in style.
These are going to be sweatsuits that you can wear outside?
Yes.
Okay, because I have to ask.
Definitely.
I went shopping, and I know joggers are a big fashion item now, and the poor salesperson, I had to ask if I could wear those outside or not, because I'm never clear if those are really outdoor wear. Because there's so much casual wear now, because people are working from home, and it is. Did you notice even merchandising-wise, because I wondered this in stores in general, did the merchandising change? Because you opened in July, you said, the place. So did you then get more of the sweatsuits in, more comfy clothes to say, hey, we're not having the other big events?
Well, we definitely didn't buy as many new dresses and gowns especially, but we brought in my brand. So as soon as you walk in the store now, it's a bunch of sweatsuits, t-shirts, sweatshirts, like different kinds of sweatshirts, longer ones, whatever. But it grabs a lot of people's attention when they walk in, because they're like, this is very realistic for me to wear right now. And even to mix and match the pieces from the sets with other things. Like if you got the sweatsuit, you could always wear the sweatshirt with jeans another time or whatever. And you can but the sweatsuits are definitely right in front now. But other stores, I don't know, it's hard to say. Everything is very either online or small businesses now. The big stores have really Like Forever 21 closed like most of all their stores. I think Barney's closed all their stores.
I think I saw that, or bankruptcy. Yeah, I saw that. They were mentioned as well. Yeah. So when you noticed that, did you do, in general, merchandising more online then? Even for where you're working now, are more places going online to sell clothes? Yeah, so they upped that part.
Yeah,
the
during quarantine we focused a lot on that.
On that, right. Yeah. So that's, when you, because I know that the fashion, you're always looking ahead like to the next season, so I'm not even sure if you're looking to spring or whatever, winter, I'm not sure what it is now. But when looking ahead, do you see that this leisure, can we call it leisure wear? I know that's totally a term way back in the 70s or 80s. Definitely. If we say leisure wear, can you see that continuing when you think about the next orders coming in going forward? Do you think it'll still have a focus on leisure wear?
For now, I want to say yes, because unfortunately we have no idea when this is going to end, and a lot of people are still working from home. And I think people are maybe learning how to be more stylish but in a comfy way. That's always been like my big thing. I'm like, if I'm not comfortable, I'm not happy. But it's like the cool and comfort level is supposed to be kind of like, I don't know, where you want to meet in the middle. Cool and comfortable. Yeah.
So you see that continuing?
I do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because I would imagine, as you said, we don't know where it's going, but I would imagine that's. Do they have, when you're looking at fashion too, and I don't want to say trends, because as you said, you're thinking more of clothes that you can continue to use. Are there any colors or anything, and I don't know if that's seasonal as well, but are there any colors that you're seeing pop up more that people are wearing?
Yeah, definitely. As I was doing some research for this ahead of time, a big thing was jewel tones, but like deeper, like nice, right. Very, very nice, like almost like a gold and like hunter green and stuff like that. Definitely. Neutrals are always a big thing come fall time, and wearing some people think it's very blah, but it's a very big trend wearing all one color. Like even if it's brown, wearing all tan.
That is something that's
like a very monochromatic look. Is,
Good to know, good to know. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to address the topic of sustainable clothing and fashion. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Hi, welcome back to Sure Things. I'm here with Alyssa Doran, a fashion stylist, and she's here today to talk about not only fashion and trends, but now we're going to get into sustainable clothing and fashion. So this might be new to some of our viewers. Certainly I needed to do some research on it as well when we first talked about it, and I remember you mentioned it first thing when I met you, and then you just mentioned it in passing, and then when I went back to see you again and say, hey, how about coming on the show, you had actually taken it a step further, which I find very exciting, and kudos to you, because it's not only talking the talk, but walking the talk, which is great. Great. So what can you explain to us and to the viewers, what is sustainable clothing?
Sustainable clothing, for the most part, is reworked fabric. So like regenerated fibers is a big thing right now. I'll talk about certain brands that are doing that. Or secondhand clothing. Like thrifting clothes has become, I mean, I've been doing it for years, and I remember people would be like, ew, like kind of just, I guess, skeeved out by it a little bit. But if you think about it, like your clothes are coming from a random factory if they're new. That's like, how much cleaner is it gonna be than from a store where they're washed? But anyways, yeah, so thrifting has become very, very popular.
So when you talk about sustainable thrifting, going to thrift stores or consignment stores, to purchase your clothing. Why is that? Let me ask you, why is that a thing? Why is that important?
Well, instead of fast fashion like Forever 21, I know I mentioned before, they're not doing well because it's not things that are going to last a long time, you know? Like you're going to wear it for a season a couple of times and then probably either lose it or it's going to rip or something. But shopping from a thrift store, you're getting premium denim for cheaper, you're getting that genuine leather, you know, for a good deal. Older fabric is so much better quality. But also I loved it because I was starting to find things that no one else was wearing, one-of-a-kind pieces, and then also a lot of girls like my age, we love to buy things and upcycle them into, you know, something a little bit different, maybe something a little more modern.
It's interesting, the word upcycle, so that's new for me as well. So that's an interesting way of really reworking a piece or perhaps just taking it back into circulation.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when I was researching for the sustainability, I read a lot about the environmental part too, which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. I can talk about, actually, I had a little fact about that that's interesting. So like I mentioned, Gucci is doing an amazing actual job right now of, they have a little line called Gucci Off the Grid, which is regenerated fibers like streetwear and accessories. So there's that, but they're also doing, when you buy an item, a consigned item from Gucci, they're working with One Tree Planet, a nonprofit, and they're planting a tree. So there's that. And then I also looked into Levi's. They started a re-commerce, so it's all secondhand denim online. And basically, so the fact that I was thinking of was, when you buy a secondhand pair of denim, it saves 80% of CO2 emissions and 1.5 pounds of waste.
1.5 pounds.
So we don't realize how much water is used from making our clothes, waste, CO2 emissions, and everything like that. So it's very interesting and awesome that these brands are doing that.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because that's when I was researching too, that's what I was finding. They talk about even cotton, which I was surprised at. Cotton takes a lot of water to produce. And so I saw these articles that really talked about the whole production in the fabrics and how that impacts the environment, whether it's water or you go the other way and you're talking and the CO2, and how some brands are trying to be more conscious about that and offset the carbon footprint in different ways. But then also on the other end, where I read about how much of our clothing that we even donate to thrift stores or consignment stores actually gets shipped overseas and doesn't get used properly, and you know, or might end up in landfills overseas. So I certainly saw your point about taking these clothes and reworking them or restyling them to help the environment. That's such a big. Yes, so
one
you
of
have
the things
some examples.
I've done. Yes, I do. So like this, I just thrifted some men's button-ups, but I turned it into a little cute crop top for women or whoever wants to wear it, really. But yeah, I just put two together and made it something a little bit more new and different.
And that'll have another life. And you actually designed these, and and did you make these then? You made
yes,
this
I made this.
So when you make your clothing, can I picture you at the dining room table with a sewing machine, or do you actually have a workshop you go to?
So I'm actually very, very lucky. I have a room that is my studio. So I have my sewing machine, and I just got a new machine. It's called a serger, which is super exciting. But yes, I do have a little room.
So you have a little room, and you have some. So, and you talked about, I just want to go back to, you talked about reworking fibers. What does that mean?
Yes, they use regenerated fibers.
What does that mean?
I didn't do a ton of research right into that, but I want to say it has to do with a lot of brands. I know, like, one of the brands we sell at the boutique, it's BB Dakota. Steve Madden actually bought them out, and they've been using, like flannels, for example. They used the material from last year, but like reworked them into like maybe a newer design, but the same material. So I'm pretty sure that's what that refers to.
Okay, so that's what that would be. So now you have a line. You have a line of your own clothing then that you're using. You're actually demonstrating sustainable clothing by making your own. What's your line called?
It's called adaptations.
Adaptations. And
Yes.
so besides doing that, because that was a really cool example of taking two pieces and making it one, do you have another example of how you
Yeah.
might take something that you buy at a thrift store and rework it? Or that you did rework it, yeah.
Yeah, so like I thrifted these pants and they're just white, but they are DKNY, which is really cool. So I figured I would paint on them a little bit. So that's another thing.
So
I
there you
love
go, okay.
painting on clothes, and that's very streetwear,
That's something
fashion forward.
you'd see that in the city? Or,
Yeah,
okay.
like a lot of the dyeing and just like being different. I just see that a lot more. This is something very different, talking about being different. So trousers and dress pants are very in right now. I mean, girls my age are wearing them with t-shirts, like jeans. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen that, so that's why you're on the show. You're letting us know on this
So
one.
dress pants have become just, I don't know, regular
Casual-
old
like
pants
like a casual wear thing?
Yeah, I mean, I wear them. They're comfortable. The ones that I wear are comfy. But anyway, so like these I had thrifted, and then I was like, they're kind of, I don't love the color. So I actually bleach dyed them, and now they're like tie-dye and super 70s. I love them.
And that is something that people would be wearing now. And comfortable.
I hope
because
so.
we have to do, right, we have to do the back and forth. And I know the denim is big too.
Yes,
because
yes,
of
we'll talk about that. But
the
I just want to show you
suitability.
this too. Like we were talking about comfy. This is like
Right,
what I was
comfy.
kind of talking about. All the tie-dye and matching sets. So this is a thrifted sweatshirt that I got, and I dyed it so that it's, not just a boring old black sweatshirt. And a lot of people love this design right now. I've sold quite a bit of sweatsuits.
So that's another way you reuse it. You could just take it, wash it, tie-dye it, and then carry it on. Somebody else will come in and get that.
Yes.
Did you notice, and this is probably an odd question because I know during the pandemic people did a lot of cleaning out and purging of closets, as we all
Very
did.
helpful for me.
That's what I was going to ask you. So did you notice in the places you go for resources, like the thrift stores or consignment shops, did you notice an uptick in things available, or was it about the same?
What I noticed personally was, like, I take some donations from people because not a lot of people know really what to do with their old clothes. So like a lot of people that I knew cleaned out their closets and like donated some stuff to me, which was really, really nice because then I upcycle it and they kind of know more where it's going, which they like. The thrift stores, I don't know, it's hard to say really, because the place that I go to the most is always pretty much packed full of stuff.
Good. So you get your resources.
Yeah.
So you have your brand that you go and you're going to do, what are your future goals for this? Do you see yourself branching out? Do you see yourself getting into other areas of sustainability or carrying it any further?
Oh yeah, something that I've been asked about and I want to look into more is using natural dyes. So that everything is, just more environmentally friendly. But I want to take my brand to the next level. I mean, I want to work with other artists, and I really want to create a platform for other designers or artists that maybe want to put their art onto clothes. But I want to take it, to like one step further than even a brand. I want to create like a whole creative empire. And really just have a place to showcase my work and other people's work.
And with that whole notion or platform of sustainability, because
that's huge.
That's so huge for our planet. Even we were, my husband and I were reading an article just last weekend about, it was plastics, but it was also on clothing and cloth, and how difficult it is to have those degenerate, disintegrate, whatever, and they were looking at, and the impact of the planet, and they were looking at ways to actually help that along. So
it's
that's
very
pretty
important.
Yeah, this is really, I think this is really important, and I'm glad to see you're doing that, because as I had said before, as part of that research I did about how much of our clothing from thrift stores even goes overseas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The figure, and it was a CNN report, but the figure I had was 70%. Ends up over there, and then unfortunately it ends up in landfills or just as adding to our planet waste, which is so here you are taking your fashion sense and environmental issues and you're putting it together to make a big statement, which is great. So we'll have to keep an eye out for your state, and for not only your statement in your clothing, but on your Instagram, and see what's coming up. And thanks again for telling us the colors and the trends coming up, because I know that's always important for any of us as well. So yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you. It was fun.
So I'd like to thank you for joining in today, and hope you tune in next time for Sure Things.